While undoing the Infinite Tsukuyomi, Naruto and Sasuke made a fatal mistake, leading to Naruto's death. But here's the twist: Naruto didn't truly die, he was reborn in a realm of cursed energy and spirits. Now who are these so-called sorcerers? Naruto has 6 eyes. What exactly is 6 eyes? What does the Kakashi-look-alike want? Naruto vs Kara, Isshiki, Toneri. They had made a terrible mistake. They had freed the world from the Infinite Tsukuyomi, but at a price too high to pay. Naruto's body was drained of all energy, his wounds too deep to heal. He knew he was dying, and he didn't want to drag Kurama down with him. Thank you, Kurama. You have been with me since the day I was born. You have suffered so much because of me. But you also taught me so much. You became my friend, my partner, my family. I'm sorry I can't keep you with me any longer. Please, go and join your other half. Be free, be happy. Goodbye, my lifelong companion. Naruto said as he released the seal that bound Kurama to him. No, no, Kit, Naruto, Kurama cried out as he felt Naruto's life force fading away. He tried to reach out to him, to hold him, to save him. But it was too late. Naruto was gone. Kakashi and Sakura arrived at the Valley of the End, only to find a scene of horror. Sasuke and Naruto lay on the ground, motionless. Sakura ran to them, hoping to find a sign of life. She saw Sasuke's chest rising and falling, but his eyes were empty and wet. I acknowledged him, Sasuke whispered, barely audible. He defeated me. We cancelled the Infinite Tsukuyomi, but we used too much chakra, it cost his life. No, Sakura sobbed as she tried to heal Sasuke's wounds. But she knew it was useless. He had lost his will to live. His sky-blue eyes were dull. Kurama emerged from Naruto's body, surrounded by orange chakra bubbles. He looked at the others, his eyes full of sorrow. He looked at his former vessel, his friend, his hero. Dad, Sensei, Obito, Rin, Kushina, Kakashi muttered as he looked at the sky, tears streaming down his face. I failed you. Kakashi. Sasuke called him. He turned to the boy. Naruto's last words were, tell Kakashi-sensei to move on. Don't let him spend the rest of his life grieving. Live long, live well. Kakashi. Kurama said. The man looked at him. Make sure that the Uchiha scum doesn't get punished. That idiot told me to tell you that. Of course he said that. Kakashi smiled sadly as he remembered Naruto's kindness, his courage, his smile. Of course he did. The sun was setting over the Hidden Leaf village, casting a warm glow over the thousands of people who had gathered to pay their respects to a fallen hero. A hero who had saved the world from the Infinite Tsukuyomi but had sacrificed his life in the process. A hero who had touched the lives of so many with his unwavering determination, his infectious smile, and his boundless love. A hero who was only 17 years old. His name was Naruto Uzumaki. He lay in a wooden coffin, wrapped in a white cloth, with a red swirl on his chest. His face was peaceful, as if he was sleeping. His blonde hair was ruffled by the gentle breeze. His whisker marks were still visible on his cheeks. He looked like he could wake up any moment and say one of his catchphrases, like believe it, or Dadabayo. But he didn't. He was gone. Next to his newly dug grave, there was another grave. It was his mother, Kushina Uzumaki. She had died giving birth to him and had never seen him grow up. She had never hugged him, or praised him, or scolded him. She had never told him how much she loved him. But she had left him a parting gift, a gift that had stayed with him until the end. A gift that had made him who he was. His name was Kurama. The 9-tailed fox, the most powerful of the tailed beasts, had been sealed inside Naruto since he was a baby. He had been hated and feared by the villagers, who saw him as a monster, a curse, a demon. He had been lonely and angry and had lashed out at Naruto, who had endured his pain and hatred. He had been used and manipulated by Madara, who had tried to enslave him and the other tailed beasts. He had been freed and befriended by Naruto, who had seen him as a living being, a comrade, a friend. He had fought and bled with Naruto, who had shared his chakra and his will. He had died and mourned with Naruto, who had released him from his seal and thanked him for everything. He was Naruto's lifelong companion. And he was not alone. Behind the coffins, standing in a semicircle, were the other 8-tailed beasts. They had come from all over the world to pay their respects to the boy who had united them, who had spoken to them, who had understood them. They had come to say goodbye to their friend, their brother, their savior. They had come to honor his memory, his legacy, his dream. They were Naruto's family. And they were not the only ones. In front of the coffins, kneeling on the ground, were the people who had known Naruto the best, who had grown up with him, who had fought with him, who had loved him. They were his teammates, his teachers, his rivals, his friends. They were his precious people. And they were crying. It was the day the world mourned for a hero. A hero who had saved them from darkness, who had given them hope, who had sacrificed everything for them. A hero who was only 17 years old. The funeral was grand and solemn. People from all walks of life came to pay their respects. Civilians, shinobis, merchants, nobles, and even a few daimyos. They all bowed their heads in gratitude and sorrow. Naruto was the only shinobi in whose funeral the tailed beasts were present. They roared in grief and anger as they watched their friend being lowered into the ground. He was buried next to his mother, who had died giving birth to him. Konohamaru cried the most. He had looked up to Naruto as his role model, his mentor, his brother. He had vowed to follow his footsteps, to become the Hokage, to protect the village. He kept his promise. He became the 7th Hokage, and he led the village with courage and wisdom. But he never stopped missing Naruto. Tsunade didn't move at all. She stood still, like a statue. Her face was blank, but her eyes were red. She had lost her lover, her brother, her student, and now her successor. She had lost too much. She couldn't bear it anymore. She officially retired and left the village. 20 years later, she passed away and was buried next to Naruto. Sakura cried like a baby. She had loved Naruto, but she had never told him. She had hurt him, ignored him, rejected him. She regretted it all. She wanted to make it up to him, to show him how much she cared. She began wearing orange clothes for him, despite looking hideous in them. She never took them off. Hinata was silently sobbing next to her sister and father. She had loved Naruto, and she had told him. She had supported him, admired him, accepted him. She was happy with him, for a brief moment. She wanted to be with him, to marry him, to have his children. She never got the chance. She never married. She became the next Hyuga clan head, and she led the clan with grace and dignity. Her final words before she died were Naruto-kun. Kakashi tried his best not to be sad. He had taught Naruto, guided him, watched him grow. He had seen him become a hero, a leader, a legend. He was proud of him, like a father. He wanted to honor him, to continue his legacy, to make him smile. He became the next Hokage, and he married Anko, with whom he had a boy Naruto Hatake. He named him after his student, his friend, his son. Sasuke and Sakura married 5 years later and had a daughter Naruto Uchiha. She inherited his spirit, his will, his power. She idolized Naruto, whose face was carved into the Hokage monument despite not being one. She called him her uncle, her hero, her inspiration. She became the 8th Hokage. Gara later adopted a child, whom he named Naruto of the Sand. He was a boy who had been orphaned by war, who had been shunned by his peers, who had been lonely and sad. He reminded Gara of himself and of Naruto. He gave him a home, a family, a purpose. He taught him how to love, how to trust, how to live. He named him after his friend, his ally, his brother. Naruto of the Sand. Iruka never married, he spent most of his time in Naruto's ramen, which was formerly known as Ichiraku ramen. He had been Naruto's teacher, his supporter, his confidant. He had seen him grow from a troublemaker to a savior, from a nobody to a somebody. He loved him like a son. He passed away 10 years later, in his sleep. He dreamed of Naruto, smiling and laughing. In most dimensions, Itsutsukis invaded the earth Isshiki, Mamashiki, Urashiki, Code and so on. But in this one, they never came. Naruto became more than just a name. He became a symbol, a legend, a legacy. People named their kids after him, in honor of him. His name was pronounced with utmost respect, with awe and admiration. History books made him a legendary figure, a hero of heroes. His accomplishments were still remembered, his deeds still praised. Kids in the academies were encouraged by saying that you can always become a ninja, even if you are the dead last. He was known as the immortal hero. How true it was because nobody ever forgot him. In a distant realm, a newborn drew its first breath. The infant squinted, bewildered by the blurred world that greeted it. "He is exquisite," murmured a feminine voice. "Undoubtedly," chimed in another, perhaps male. "See his hair, the unmistakable mark of our lineage." "And those eyes," the woman continued. "Not merely blue, but radiant. Like the very heavens themselves." "They shimmer," he observed. "Like the boundless sky," she agreed. "So, these are the eyes." "It seems so. I imagined a normal life for him. We shall grant him just that, a life of normalcy." "Yes. But what shall we name him?" "His eyes mirror the sky. Thus." "Hinata-kun Gojo," the woman declared, her smile radiant. "A fitting name, Hinata-kun." The baby emitted an odd sound, baffling its caretakers. "He doesn't seem to approve," the man observed. "Nonsense. It's a splendid name. Eyes that cradle the heavens. Too conspicuous. Can we shield him from those old fogies with such a moniker? Have a better suggestion." "Akira. Too commonplace." "Konji. Dull." "Yuki. Laughable." "George Washington." "You jest," their laughter echoed through the ethereal chamber. Naruto, now thoroughly bewildered, recalled his demise. Yet here he stood, dwarfed by two colossal beings. The situation defied reason. When he attempted to speak, an infantile sound emerged, a newborn's cry. "I am reborn." He wondered, his mind a tempest of questions. On a serene spring dawn, as the chorus of birds serenaded the world awake and sakura petals waltzed on the gentle breath of the wind, Toneri Gojo made his entrance into the world. He was the progeny of Hinako and Konji Gojo, two souls bound by more than love. They shared the legacy of their bloodline. Their matching hues of hair and eyes were the visible threads that tied them to the illustrious Gojo lineage, famed for their mystical curse techniques limitless, and the rare ocular gift, the six eyes, a marvel that graced the clan once in generations. Satoru Gojo, Hinako's elder brother, was the bearer of those legendary eyes, his gaze piercing the veil of the mundane to witness the extraordinary. His potential was boundless, his destiny to become the paramount sorcerer of his age. Yet, this gift cast a shadow over Hinako, leaving her overlooked and undervalued, her own non-combative abilities deemed inconsequential in the clan's eyes. While Satoru ascended to the ranks of a special-grade Jujutsu sorcerer, she remained obscured in the background. Konji's fate was marked by an even harsher stigma, heavenly restriction. Devoid of cursed energy, he was the outcast, the anomaly in a lineage defined by power. The clan's disdain weighed upon him, a burden he bore with silent resilience. United by their shared isolation, Hinako and Konji sought refuge in each other, their love a sanctuary from the world's scorn. At 17, they turned their backs on the Gojo name and found solace in a simple life, tending to a farm, their happiness a quiet rebellion against their birthright. Then came the birth of their son, a child who defied all expectations. With the six eyes that mirrored his uncle's, Toneri's gaze held the brilliance of the heavens themselves. Even with closed eyes, the luminescence of his being shone through, a testament to the enigmatic power that coursed through his veins, a power that would one day challenge the very foundations of their world. In the clandestine world of the Gojo clan and the broader realm of Jujutsu, the birth of a child with the six eyes was a harbinger of both awe and peril. Aware of the lengths to which some would go to possess such power, Hinako and Konji made a heart-wrenching decision. They would shroud their son's gift in secrecy, proclaiming him blind to the world. The blindfold, akin to that worn by Satoru, would be his shield, a poignant but necessary ruse. Toneri, a child of quietude and warmth, rarely shed tears. His world was one of gentle embraces and playful laughter with his parents, a sanctuary of love in a world fraught with hidden dangers. When he uttered his first word, "To-chan," it was a moment so tender it lingered in Hinako's heart for days, a balm to her spirit. The name Toneri, however, seemed to sit uneasily with him, like a coat too stiff and formal. Thus, his father, inspired by a moment as simple as savoring a bowl of ramen, bestowed upon him a name that resonated with his soul: Naruto. Naruto, with an appetite for life as voracious as his love for ramen, embraced the world with open arms. His compassion knew no bounds, he was a friend to every creature, great and small. His sense of justice was fierce, once defending the honor of an elderly woman with a courage that belied his tender age. His parents admired his noble heart, even as they cautioned him against the folly of reckless bravery. Yet, Naruto marched to the beat of his own drum, undeterred by size or strength when standing up for what was right. His quirks were many, each endearing him further to those who knew him best. His mother cherished his verbal tick, a signature melody in their daily lives. Naruto bore the visage of a past life, sans the whisker marks and golden locks. His eyes, a mesmerizing amethyst, held galaxies within their depths, a cosmic dance of stars and nebulae. His parents entrusted him with a sacred charge. To reveal the universe in his gaze only to those who held his heart and whose hearts he held in return. Beneath the veil of his blindfold, his world was awash with clarity. The fabric that shielded his eyes from the world was a paradox, for it hid the very beauty it sought to protect. He often pondered the reason behind this constant concealment. Were his eyes too captivating, too extraordinary to be revealed? As he grew, he came to realize that his sight was no ordinary gift, it was a doujutsu of remarkable power, allowing him to perceive the minutiae of the world in breathtaking detail. Knowledge flowed to him effortlessly, every explanation and lesson crystallizing in his mind with vivid precision. Yet, the origin of his unique vision remained shrouded in mystery, locked away by his parents' silence. He yearned for the day they would unveil the story of his eyes, but a whisper of doubt lingered. Perhaps some secrets were destined to remain just beyond reach. At the tender age of 4, Toneri Gojo, once known to the world as Naruto Uzumaki, crossed the threshold of academia. His intellect was undeniable, a brilliant flame that burned bright and unwavering. Despite his youthful defiance, he was a marvel, a prodigy whose spirit housed the wisdom of ages. His teachers were drawn to his charm, finding joy in his innocent laughter and the sweetness of his demeanor. Yet, the shadow of envy loomed in the form of older children, who cloaked their intimidation with taunts aimed at his distinctive orange blindfold. But Naruto, resilient as ever, remained unfazed by their shallow jeers. The day came when their words turned to actions, a physical challenge meant to break him. But the playground bore witness to their defeat, the bullies rendered unconscious, their plans undone. No suspicion fell upon Naruto, the blind boy, an irony not lost on those who knew the truth. Isolation followed as fear replaced curiosity among his peers. They whispered demon once more, a label he knew all too well. Regret tinged his heart, for his desire to connect had been overshadowed by the need to defend. Friendship, it seemed, would be a treasure hard won in this place. Then, at 5, a day like no other dawned. The schoolyard emptied, leaving Naruto alone with the echo of laughter and the fading warmth of the sun. He waited for the familiar faces of his parents, but they did not come. He waited. And waited. Time stretched on, a silent companion to his solitude. With resolve, he ventured home, his steps carrying him to the modest embrace of their traditional Japanese abode. "Tadaima," he called into the stillness, a greeting met with silence. Concern flickered within him. Were they laboring late, toiling under the weight of financial strain? Perhaps his fondness for ramen should be curbed, a small sacrifice for their well-being. Then, the shrill ring of the telephone shattered the quiet. Startled, he reached for the receiver, his fingers brushing against the symbol of a world still new and strange to him. The call connected, and with it, the thread of destiny began to weave its next chapter. "Hello?" His voice wavered, a mix of innocence and confusion. "This is the Gojo residence. May I ask who's calling?" The familiar endearment slipped out, a habit hard to break. "Is this Naruto-kun?" The voice on the other end was tinged with a sorrow he knew all too well. "Auntie?" Recognition dawned, it was the voice of his parents' friend, a comforting presence in his life. Her words came hesitantly, a prelude to heartache. "I was at your school, Naruto-kun, but you were nowhere to be found. There's something I need to tell you." The primal instinct screamed within him to sever the connection, to flee from the impending storm. "What's wrong?" he asked, the words barely a whisper, dread coiling in his stomach. Through tears, she delivered the blow. "Your parents, there's been an accident at the farm." A wall collapsed. Silence engulfed him, a void where his heartbeat should have been. "Naruto-kun, are you there?" Desperation laced her voice, a plea for him to respond. But he was lost to the world, a statue with the phone still pressed to his ear. A cerulean aura emanated from him, unseen yet felt by all. It was a silent testament to his grief, a force that swept through the town, cleansing it of darkness. When dawn broke, the sorcerers would only find whispers of spirits that once were, all vanished in the wake of his sorrow. "Alright Itadori-kun," Satoru said as he held Yuji. "Watch how I fight." Domain expansion, Jugo stopped when he felt something powerful far away. He looked at Gojo, who had a stern expression on his face. So he asked, "Was that something connected to you?" "Who knows?" Gojo smiled brightly. "Now, where were we?" "Right, domain expansion. Coffin of the Iron Mountain. Domain expansion. Infinite void." Gojo shattered his opponent's domain with his own as he lifted his blindfold a bit. Then he looked at the direction the surge of that power came from. Hinako. When he first laid eyes on his little sister, a fierce determination ignited within him. He vowed to shield her from every peril, at any cost. They whispered that she was ordinary, too plain to matter, but he paid no heed. Their bond blossomed through games of hide and seek, where he'd always triumph with his keen eyes. She was his bundle of joy, a sunbeam in his life. As the years flowed by, their closeness waned. Satoru honed his abilities, mastering his eyes and the limitless technique. Meanwhile, Hinako, his sister, faced neglect. Her cursed technique compelled others to witness their deepest desires, yet her cursed energy pool remained small. The clan favored him, showering him with fine food and attire, while she received the mundane. Tradition dictated that women could never lead the clan. Satoru immersed himself in clan affairs and the Jujutsu society. Eventually, he left the clan, securing admission to Jujutsu High School in Tokyo. Time blurred memories. Satoru Gojo's name echoed across the Jujutsu world. His sister became a distant whisper. There came a day when he no longer recognized her. One sunny morning, a girl in a yellow kimono tended the garden. Respectfully, she watered the plants. Her features bore the classic Gojo resemblance, yet he assumed she was a non-sorcerer. "Boy," he called. "Yes, Satoru," she replied without turning. "Who are you?" he asked. "I've not seen you." She laughed, catching him off guard. "What's amusing?" he inquired. "You think I'd fall for that joke?" "What joke?" Her laughter ceased, replaced by a solemn expression. "Nothing, Satoru-sama." Later, he recognized her, the sister he'd overlooked. But it was too late. Tasked with guarding Raiko, the star plasma vessel, he failed to save her. Suguru Jito's betrayal weighed heavily. Their mother, perpetually ill, relied on Hinako. Yet she fled the clan with a boy, leaving her mother to suffer. Days later, their mother succumbed to illness. Satoru harbored resentment toward his sister. His eyes, once all-seeing, failed to recognize her. Shame knotted him. Years passed. He lost touch with Hinako. But he knew where she lived, knew she had a son, a blind child. Confronting Jogo, he sensed an aura akin to his own. Hinako or her son, he wondered. News of her death alongside her husband Kenji stirred mixed emotions. Pity for the 5-year-old they left behind tugged at his heart. He resolved to meet the child, his nephew. Everyone looked at him with pitiful eyes. Some ruffled his hair while some gave him some money. The boy was sitting still, no movement. But everyone could notice the obvious dampness of his orange blindfold. They knew that eventually everyone had to go and the boy would be left alone. He will have to live alone for some time. About 20 people attended the ceremony. Most were co-workers of his parents as they had almost no friends. A few neighbors and some acquainted people also came. There were also 3 people whom nobody recognized. Well, everyone assumed the eldest of them, a tall man with white hair and blindfold, couldn't be anyone not related to the orphan boy. He must be a blood relative. Poor family, blindness runs through their genes. The man was with 2 teenagers. The female had short brown light hair with brown eyes, wearing a navy blue top with a similar colored skirt. She had a pouch attached to her waist. The boy with green was wearing a navy blue shirt and navy blue pants with a purplish tint. Both of the teenagers had a bored look on their face. The man on the other hand had a stern look on his face. He was looking at the boy sitting in the middle of the hall with a sad face. Poor kid, Nobara Kujisaki said. Losing parents at such a young age. Yeah. Megumi Fushiguro agreed. Then he looked at his sensei. Why are we here again? Shouldn't we be preparing for the tournament? 2 days ago, Jujutsu sorcerers felt some abnormal curse energy coming from this town. Gojo explained. Every curse in this town was gone. They just disappeared. Some unknown but powerful energy exorcised them. And guess what, the kid over there has cursed energy. That kid looks barely 5. Exclaimed Nobara. Gojo-sensei, Nobara said as she frowned. Is that kid related to you? Yeah, agreed Megumi. That same hair and that blindfold is pretty hard to ignore. Look at those pictures over there, they also had the same hair and eyes. Gojo didn't reply. He wasn't in his usual cheerful mode. As the burial was finished, everyone began to leave one by one, except for the trio and the boy who was sitting next to his mother and father's gravestone. As everyone left, the priest handed him some papers and left. The boy was still sitting there, no movement. The trio slowly made their way towards the boy. Hey, kid, Nobara began awkwardly. I am really sorry for your loss, I'm so sorry that I want to cry, but you see, I have some problems in my eyes like you, no offense, so no tears. Fujisaki, Megumi flatly said. Are you mocking him? What? Absolutely not, oh god, I am just not so good at expressing my feelings. Yeah, I know. Boy, Fushiguro, are you mocking me? Yeah. What do you want? The boy tilted his head and the trio couldn't help but notice the dampness on his blindfold. The boy must be crying all this time. They thought. I'll get to the point, Gojo said, much to the shock of his students. Gojo not being nice. Especially to a newly made orphan child. How did you do it? The what? The boy spoke. Did you exorcise all those curses? What is curse? And how do I exorcise with them? Megumi facepalmed and Nobara let out an unladylike laughter. The boy frowned while Gojo tapped on his own blindfold. I know who you are and what you possess. Gojo said and the boy shivered a bit before immediately calming himself down. You can't fool me. I can't see, the boy said as he grabbed his cane and stood up. Stop wasting your time, old man. Gojo smirked as he rubbed his chin. You know how I look, despite being blind. You're not very convincing. The boy sniffed. Drop the act and talk. Sensei, Megumi spoke. Aren't you being too rude? I know what I am doing. You just watch. And you, take off the blindfold. I told you, the boy almost shouted. I am blind, so what do you want? Just leave me out, ugh. But Nobara almost shouted when she saw her sensei immobilizing the boy and forcefully taking his blindfold off. Sensei, have you, oh my god, are those? Her face was twitching as she saw the boy's eyes. The boy had momentarily forgotten about the promise he made with his parents as he unintentionally showed his amethyst eyes to the trio. What did you? He froze as he processed what had just happened. He immediately shut his eyes off, but instead of drawing their attention away from his eyes, they frowned as they noticed his blood vessels and capillaries of his eyelids. Wow, Megumi remarked. Gojo-sensei, you now have the second most shining eyes on the planet. Gojo ignored him. The boy was desperately trying to escape, but Gojo's grip was way too much for the 5-year-old. This child is dangerous. Gojo said without letting the boy go. Very dangerous. If given the opportunity, he can wreak havoc on the entire Jujutsu society and the entire world. He must be taken to our secret headquarters. He will be executed there. Sensei. Have you gone crazy? Megumi yelled. He is only a 5-year-old child. And you gave Itadori a chance even though he ate one of Sukuna's fingers. Well, you want to hand over a child to them, those old men, because he has 6 eyes like you, no, better 6 eyes than you? I see you burning in the fire of jealousy. I won't let you harm the boy, Nobara said as she raised her hammer towards him. Even if I have to fight you for it. Using the conversation as a distraction, Naruto bit down hard on Gojo's hand, and when Gojo pulled his hand away, Naruto quickly ran for the door. Gojo angrily raised a bright red round ball of cursed energy at his fingertips. When he was just about to launch the attack on the boy, two figures emerged from the boys behind and jumped at the man. Gojo jumped and effortlessly dodged their attacks and took a defensive stance. Suddenly the creatures began to speak. Leave the baby, leave him, or we will kill you all, kill you. The creatures, who were obviously cursed spirits, had the shape of something between dragon and human. One had red skin while the other had blue skin. They had long white hair that floated in an unearthly way. They had a dim white glow with their body. Gojo lifted the blindfold over his eyes and everyone could see his sky blue eyes. Megumi and Nobara quickly began creating their own defensive and offensive attacks. Megumi summoned his white and black dog and the girl quickly took out some nails and her hammer. Just as I suspected, Gojo spoke with a hint of amusement. I knew you wouldn't leave him behind even in death. You had to become a cursed spirit to be so strong because you could never be strong as a human. You are a disappointment. A coward as always. Shut it. The spirit, which appears to be a female, chanted, clutching its head and shaking violently. You were always weak and stupid and now you are even weaker and stupider. Gojo continued. Chewed. But I have one last thing to say, Gojo said dramatically. Have no fear. Because it was just pure drama. What? Nobara shouted. You did not want to kill the boy under the pretext of danger. I was going to hammer you. Whatever, my cute students. I am very proud of you. No matter how powerful the villain of injustice is, never help him and try his best to stop him. Anyways, I was just testing one thing. If the kid was in trouble, these two would come to his aid. My guess proved true. I knew that no matter how much raw power a child can possess, he can never exercise so many cursed spirits in such a short time. I assumed he had some help. The boy must have released a lot of cursed energy which had attracted cursed spirits, and in order to protect him, these two, he pointed towards the cursed spirits, finished them all. Whoa. Nobara whistled as she exclaimed. He must have hell of some cursed energy. Don't underestimate him, Satoru, Gojo warned. He has almost as equal amount of cursed energy as Yuta and has the potential to surpass Yuta and possibly even me. That's why he is dangerous. But sensei, Megumi said. Did he curse his parents? I don't know. But that might be the case. How did he bite you? Because of infinity, any attack stops, then. I was bitten because I allowed myself to be bitten. I was trying to understand at what level of danger Hinako and Kenji came to save their son. From what I understand, since they are cowards, they don't come unless there is no other way. But yes, Naruto is dangerous, both to himself and to others. I don't want anyone else to suffer the same fate as Yuta. Then, he looked at Naruto. So, kid. Boy, kid. Gojo waved his hand at the boy who was staring at the cursed spirits. I think you broke him. Megumi said. Everyone gets traumatized when they meet sensei for the first time. Nobara added. The boy's eyes moisturized. Du-chan, he spoke, it was barely a whisper, but everyone heard it anyway. Oka-chan. Our baby is looking at us in this form, the red cursed spirit, the male one shouted and began to tear its white gleaming hair off. The blue one, the female one also followed. Soon both the curses were shouting various things. The boy suddenly burst into tears. You didn't leave me. The boy came running and hugged the nearest curse, the red one. You are back. I knew you would come back. The pregnant pause. Baby. My baby. The curses snapped their heads towards him and began to float around him as if he was the sun and they were planets. They patted his back, ruffled his hair and so on. The boy was not afraid, two creepy looking creatures, or rather, two special grade curses touching him, and he had no fear. It was disturbing. But they were his parents and he recognized them, so it was explainable to a certain extent. We are sorry. But how are you back? I mean, you know. I'll explain, kid. Gojo said. You come from the Gojo family, one of the three main bloodlines that possess certain abilities and techniques. So we have cursed energy running through your blood, like it or not. When we feel negative emotions, our cursed energy is released. By learning how to wield it, we can use cursed techniques. However, untamed cursed energy is dangerous, and due to the shock you had when your parents died, you might have cursed them. So, he dramatically said. As long as the curse is not lifted, they are stuck with you. Do you get it? Or is it too hard? SK. The boy hugged tighter. I understand, enough. Oh. Our baby. Smart, cute baby. The blue spirit shouted. The bar wiped a fake tear. You know, I would have considered clicking some photos if I had a phone or camera embodied with cursed energy. Nobara said as she sighed. Hummed Megumi. We will protect you from the Gojo demon. Suddenly the blue cursed spirit said in a joyful tune said. Who? The boy gave an expression by curling his eyebrow. That would be me. Gojo raised his hand with a bright smile. And it's Gojo, not Gojo. The boy looked at him and snorted. You do look kind of suspicious and scary, old man. The boy remarked. Gojo laughed while his student sweat dropped. He is hugging those curses, and sensei looks weird to him. So now, tell me, kid Gojo said as he closed in. Are you willing to become my apprentice? I can help you to learn how to use those eyes, they are called 6 eyes by the way. I can also teach you how to use cursed energy. So, what is your answer? No. Was the boy's immediate answer. Gojo's smile faded. Do you hate me for that stunt I just pulled? Look, I am sorry. No, I am not mad at you. I understand. The boy spoke and he raised his hands and looked at his palms. These eyes, I can understand everything with them. But I don't want to be involved in this mess, not now. Besides, you remind me of someone I used to know. So, I don't hate you. Okay, your choice. But let me tell you one thing. You don't want to get involved, huh? But soon, you will be forced to be involved. Then he looked at the cursed spirits. And you guys, if you guys try to harm anyone, no matter whatever the reason, I will personally exorcise you without a moment's hesitation, special grade or not. He announced in a cold voice. But these things will come later. First, nephew, you say, where will you be now? Surely you will not be alone in that house. No, I will stay there. Said Naruto. I have them, don't I? I won't be alone. You don't have to worry about it. Now leave me alone, please. Okay, nephew, he turned and began to walk away. We'll see you soon. Megumi and Nobara followed him. Then he frowned. Wait, nephew. Baby. The blue cur said in a high-pitched voice. Are you hungry? Yeah. His face lit up. Ramen time. Ito's grin stretched across his face, revealing yellow teeth. His eyes, shadowed by dark circles, bore into the young sorcerer before him. The junior Satoru Gojo. He mused, voice dripping with malice. Cursed energy swirling, a tempest akin to Yuta Katsu's. And those 6 eyes a forbidden inheritance, a curse veiled in power. His fingers twitched, eager for a feast. Not 1, but 2 special grade apparitions at your beck and call. My, I am already starving. Cursed energy user. Hinata-kun Gojo. Age? 5. Height, 3'2". Weight? 60 pounds. Grade? Special grade. Assumed to be blind. Has a gigantic cursed energy pool. Cursed apparition. Hanako Gojo. Semi-special grade. Cursed apparition. Henji Gojo. Semi-special grade. Casualties. The ramen shop was destroyed within 1 week of the genesis of the curses. 7 people were severely injured. 9 children were hospitalized within 10 days of the genesis of the curses. Orders. The boy must be executed. Knock. Knock. Naruto was eating his breakfast when he heard someone knocking at the front door. Humming. The echo of the door slamming still ringing in his ears. He brushed his fingers over the spot where the food had been, a small smile tugging at his lips despite the morning's chaos. It was a rare moment of peace, one he knew wouldn't last. Upon opening the door Naruto discovered a smiling Yumiko Oba-chan. Good morning Naruto-kun, she said as she entered the house, followed by 2 people, a young man and a woman. Yumiko-san, she was the woman who had informed Naruto about his parents' death. Why did she bring a young couple to his house? How are you today? I'm fine. He said before looking at the trio. Oba-chan? He asked as he let them in. The young couple smiled at him. He smiled back, which confused them as they were told that he was blind. Who are they? They are very nice people, Naruto-kun, she replied with a smile. They can look after you now. What do you mean by that? Naruto asked with a frown. What I mean to say is that, the woman hesitated for a moment before saying, they are here to adopt you. No sooner had she said it than the said couple was lifted 5 feet above the ground and they felt being throttled. The woman, Yumiko-san, screamed loudly as she saw them being lifted like that. Oka-san, Oto-san, shouted Naruto. Stop it. The duo were promptly dropped on the wooden floor and they let out a painful moan. The woman had her jaw broken while the man had deep claw-marked wounds on his neck and throat. Nobody can replace us. Shouted Kenji as he spat at the man who was struggling to breathe. If someone tries, someone dies. Finished Hanako. I am sorry Naruto-kun, Yumiko-san said as she rushed to open the door. But it seems that your parents haven't left, forgive me, I won't come again. Naruto sighed as the trio ran away from the house. He needed to learn how to use this so-called cursed energy, which was equivalent to chakra of the shinobi world. He had better learn as fast as he could before his parents decided to kill someone off. He made his way to the telephone. He had his uncle's phone number as the man gave him his visiting card before leaving. Naruto stood in the quiet of his home, the echo of the door slamming still ringing in his ears. He brushed his fingers over the spot where the food had been, a small smile tugging at his lips despite the morning's chaos. It was a rare moment of peace, one he knew wouldn't last. He could feel the weight of his uncle's card in his hand, heavy with the promise of answers. The phone before him was an old model, the numbers worn from years of use. He dialed the numbers slowly, each beep a step towards a future he couldn't yet see. The line clicked, and a voice answered, gruff with sleeper worry, Naruto couldn't tell which. Hello? Oh, is it my cute little nephew? How's everything going? Is your stupid mom and dad behaving? They aren't stupid, old man. Yeah. My questions answer. They are not always around me, they appear sometimes, all of a sudden, without any kind of warning. They kinda blew away the ramen shop I went to yesterday because the man was overcharging me and they might have tried to kill a dog that tried to lick me and they might also have tried to murder a couple that came to adopt me. They also kinda broke a few bones of some of my classmates who tried to bully me. So, they have not been behaving, thought so much. Satoru mused. Typical. So, what do you want me to do? So, can you Sakanya please Dadabayo. What? Can you teach me how to make them not attack people? So you want to tame them? That was not what I meant, Dadabayo. Naruto had no solid reason to trust the man. He wanted to believe Satoru though because Satoru Gojo looked too much like Kakashi. The reason is absurd, yet Naruto wanted to believe the man. Naruto's heart told him that the man had no evil plans for him. Naruto's heart was seldom wrong. So, will you teach me how to use cursed powers? Satoru let out a sigh before saying, I get it, don't worry, I'll send my manager to you. He'll pick you up. What if they try to, kill him? He may appear weak at first, but he is tough. Don't worry. But what about my school? Worry not as Satoru Gojo is here. Okay. But how do I know if it is him or not? He is a thin man with rectangular glasses. He looks old, but isn't. Name's Kayataka Ijichi. Expect him around 12 at noon tomorrow. Okay. See you, old man. I am not old. I am only 3 years older than your mom. That's what I call old. Hey. Satoru Gojo, an old grumpy voice said. Why is the boy still alive? Because I chose not to kill him. He replied casually. 9 children and 9 adults are hospitalized because of that boy. Another voice spoke. That boy is dangerous. He may not be like Yuta Akutsu. Another joined. What if the curses of Hinako and Kenji Gojo are not tamed? They are nowhere as strong as Rika Orimoto, but are still strong enough. As the boy gets stronger, they will also become stronger. Either he tames them, or he dies. I will not execute him. Gojo lifted his glasses and looked in that direction. We have other sorcerers who can do it. I dare you to try. Gojo said as he let out a sarcastic laughter. I am Satoru Gojo, Tanada-kun Gojo is under my protection. Whoever tries to harm him must face me. They didn't reply. The furious Satoru Gojo left the chamber. They shared a moment of silence before someone said, I heard that the boy will be there at the Kyoto Sister School Goodwill event. We can execute him there. The others nodded in agreement. The students were all chit-chatting and having friendly gossips when suddenly, a spooky vibe crept upon them. They peeked at the stairs, expecting some big, scary curse to show up. But surprise. It was just a kid with a bluish-white head. They almost laughed off the creepy feeling because most of them thought the same thing. As Satoru Gojo made a mini-me. Oops, sorry to interrupt, today, little Tanada-kun Gojo, will hang with the teachers, Ijichi said. Naruto checked out the older kids. Yep, just as he guessed, super odd. They all clammed up. The lady with the scar kept giving him the stink eye. Like, did she have a beef with him or what? She stomped over and popped a question. Hey, kid. Yeah? Who's your mom? Hinako Gojo. He shrugged. So? Gojo? For real, she flipped out and stormed off. Curse you, Satoru Gojo. She was steaming mad. What was that about? Naruto asked Ijichi, who was just as puzzled. I'm not too sure, he said, adjusting his glasses. But I think Yutahime-san got the wrong idea. Naruto glanced at the older student staring at him like he was a wanted poster. Tokyo Jujutsu High. Naruto glanced at the older student staring at him like he was a wanted poster. Tokyo Jujutsu High's students were a strange bunch. Togo Inuyamaki, a second year, just said, salmon. Naruto was like, sorry, bro, but I'm all about ramen. First year Nobara Kujisaki cackled like a witch and her classmate Megumi Fushiguro nudged her. The dude reminded Naruto of his buddy Sasuke. Maki Zenin, another second year, was all grumpy. Barely looked at him and was like, "Don't bug me, or you'll be sorry." And the oddest of them all. A panda. But this panda seemed more people-like than the rest. There was another student, Yuta Akatsu, another second-year student who was said to be the strongest student of the school, as well as its sister school. The boy had single-handedly handled the competition and won it the previous year. But he was not in the country at that moment. Satoru told him that Yuta was also a special grade just like him and Naruto. When the boy was younger and a friend of his died, he couldn't accept the fate and rejected her death, which caused her to become a special grade curse. Fortunately, the girl, Rika Orimoto, was freed a year ago. Kyoto High's crew was a bit less wacky. A tiny blonde with a broom asked him if girls gotta be tough, not just pretty, to make it big. Sure. He got a death glare. I mean, nope. But why ask? She nodded. So, we're cool. Okay. Who could be Maki's twin, messed up his hair and told him to behave. Huh. And there was a robot, Mekamaru, who was quiet as a mouse and dressed like any other student. Nuwa was super nice, though. She played with his hair, pinched his cheek, and had a real sweet smile. She said she digs kids and has little sibs. Naruto thought she was awesome. Perfect, except for feeling a bit down on herself sometimes. Noritashi Keimo was chill, eyes always shut. Kinda gave off an Eiji vibe. And then there was Todo Aoi, the big guy with a scar, looking all serious. What's your favorite type of girl? Todo grumbled. If I don't like your answer, I'll tickle you till you can't breathe. Everyone held their breath. Todo-senpai. Nuwa gasped. He's just a little kid. I know he looks 5, but he's got the soul of a grown-up, Todo insisted, staring into Naruto's eyes. My mom's gone, Naruto said with a pout. My crush is far away and my friend left me. I just remember them. Silence hung in the air. Naruto sniffled. Out of nowhere, a shadowy figure leaped to Todo, yelling, "You made my kiddo sad, now you're gonna get it." The students jumped back, ready to fight. Not another one like Akatsu. Mai shouted. Where do they keep coming from? The shadow swiped at Todo, who dodged like he was dancing. But he was getting tired, real tired. I need to save my energy, Todo thought. Time for my secret move. Right as the shadow was about to claw him, Todo clapped and switched places with Megumi. Fushiguro. Maki called out, running over with her stick. Megumi was confused and scared. This was a big deal curse. He was about to call his spirit buddies when the shadow stopped. It was staring at Naruto, who was now holding its hand. How'd he get there? Everyone wondered. Mommy, Naruto said, looking sad. Please don't be mean. I don't want to lose a friend because of me. Everyone was shocked. Fushiguro's his friend. Since when? It's okay, sweetie, the shadow said in a squeaky voice. Won't hurt buddy. No more tears, it patted Naruto's head and vanished. Wow, Maki said, walking over. You don't see that every day. You are, Todo started, but before he could finish, he was flying through the air, smacked by an invisible force. Addy? Naruto cried out. The shadow shrugged and disappeared. What's going on here? Yudahime asked, coming back with Momo. She saw Todo getting up, looking like he'd just hugged a wall. Todo, can't you wait for the event to start? You're gonna give me gray hairs. Just then, Satoru Gojo strolled up, pushing a cart full of ice cream and waving. Sorry for being late. He grinned, messing up Naruto's hair. Went on a little trip. You guys cool with that? He handed out pink squishy toys to everyone. Gifts for you, and you, and you, he gave two to Miwa, who was super happy. Double for you. He turned to Yudahime. Oops, didn't get you anything. Who cares about gifts, dummy? She tried to hit him, but he dodged with a laugh. She sighed and asked, when did you marry? Who did you marry? Why did you marry? How did you marry? Gojo looked confused. He rubbed his chin with his hand. I am married. Wow. Didn't know that. Who's the lucky woman? Isshiki decided to speak before anything awkward happened. He stood beside Gojo and leaned towards his ear before whispering something. Gojo's smile returned. Naruto-kun is my cute little nephew. Oh. Where are you going, Yudahime? I just remembered that I have a super important task to do. Yudahime said as she began to swiftly walk away. Later, guys. Okay, Megumi said as he looked at his sensei. Sensei, what really took you so long? I have the biggest gift for you guys. He said as he made a dramatic pose. Presenting. Yuji Itadori is back. The trolley door was abruptly opened and a boy stood up and took an identical dramatic pose. Nobody gave a reply. Everyone gazed at the pink-haired teen with a confused expression. Megumi and Nobara looked like they had just seen a ghost. The boy looked disappointed. They don't look very happy. Itadori exclaimed. What about the Kyoto folks? Gojo turned the trolley towards the students who were busy with the gift he had bought for them. Nobody is happy. As the boy was engrossed in conversation with his fellow students, Gojo went to talk with two older people standing a bit far, one. A man in his late 60s, another. A man in his late 40s or so. But Naruto's mind was somewhere else. He was looking at Itadori, who was being yelled at by his friends. Naruto lifted his blindfold a bit. His amethyst eyes sparkled. A Jinchuriki. Itadori looked at the boy. Sadly, Naruto was not quick enough to hide his eyes as Yuji spotted them. Yuji noticed the child's uneasiness, and he was smart enough to not speak about his eyes. He has eyes I have never seen before. He thought. They were shining. Is he someone related to sensei? Hello, kid. Yuji stood in front of him before kneeling. My name is Yuji Itadori. What is yours? And Naruto. So are you here to watch the game? Yeah, I guess, Dadabayo. You're with sensei? The old man. Yeah. Naruto scratched his head. If you don't mind telling me, do you have someone inside you? Yuji was taken aback by the question, but he smiled at the boy. I can tell you, but I have a condition. Condition? Naruto tensed. Ever since his parents died, he has been feeling very insecure about others around him. He feels uneasy because he fears that his parents might attack someone if they sense any sort of danger from others. Being the hyperactive kid Naruto is, it is very hard for him to stay calm, resulting in making him look like a shy kid. He asked Satoru for help because he wanted to master this power to cause less distress to others, as well as wanting to free his parents. What is it? Will you be my friend? Yuji asked with a friendly grin. Naruto gave him a foxy grin. Somewhere in Jujutsu High. The being with multiple eyes with a human-like figure was sitting in a meditative posture when suddenly all of its eyes snapped open. He is here. Tenjin quickly conjured an ancient-looking book with a brown cover. She swiftly flipped a few pages before she reached the page. It read. Marvel of creation, a boy with amethyst eyes. Yearning to break the chains of ancient myth. Dresses pale as winter snow, reflecting moonlit skies. He holds the heavens captive with just one glance. Ever defying fate with courage unyielding and strong. Looking through veils of darkness, he'll take every chance. Beneath his gaze, impossible becomes reality. Roaming the realms of mystic lore and fantasy. Escaping the clutches of a world on fire. Awestruck whispers follow him, his legend does inspire. Keeper of the secrets hidden in ethereal flight. Engulfed in love from God, a celestial light. Demonstrating strength like wings of divine angels. In this apocalypse, he bears hope amidst life's tangles. So it is true, Tenjin whispered. It really is true, he is here. Kinjaku, you also know it, don't you? So what will you do now? Hinata-kun Gojo, huh? Mahito said as he turned a page of his book. So the boy has 6 eyes. Jogo said in a worried tune. Now that's a big problem. One Satoru Gojo is already causing enough trouble. The boy is a big problem. Not yet, Jito corrected as he took a sip from his lemon juice. He may have a car, but he doesn't know how to drive. It's as simple as that. Jogo sneered. Currently, Jito, along with Mahito and Jogo, was relaxing on deck chairs. Jogo was still recovering after he fought against Satoru Gojo, while Mahito was in a jolly mood. Jito had that I am very wise and nice smile on his face. I want to play with that kid. Mahito cheerfully said as he snapped his book shut. He leaned towards Jito and asked, can I? Jito gave him an understanding smile. He is not fun to play with yet. Although. Yes. His cursed parents. Mahito stood up. They should be enough of a challenge. Mahito, Jito sternly said. Stay away from the kid. At least wait until Satoru Gojo is sealed away. Ugh. Mahito pouted. You're no fun. The boy will have an important role in the future. Jito said as he took another sip. Really? Jogo asked, genuinely curious. Indeed. Replied Jito before he mentally added, in the culling games, and, he smirked. You're still alive, old man. Gojo said as he patted the old man's shoulder. I thought you would have died from the shock of Yuji being alive. Youngsters these days, he sighed. Why is Sukuna's vessel and that Gojo boy still alive? Yoshinobu Gakugenji asked. I am not letting my own nephew be executed, and as for Yuji, Gojo smiled. You guys sent him to die there, didn't you? Well, he just returned from being dead. Isn't that amazing? Gakugenji sighed. Can you not feel that boy's odd presence? Argued Gakugenji. It is different from Akatsu's. He must be. I already told you, old man, Gojo said in a stern voice. Leave him alone. Both of them. You will regret your actions. The old principal said before walking away. Satoru looked at Yaga and jumped at him to give a hug. Yo. Yaga-sensei. But he had to stop. Alright everyone. Yaga said as he tightly held Gojo between his armpits, stopping the man from saying anything irritating. The rules are simple. Yaga said. The Tokyo-Kyoto Sister School Exchange event will be held over 2 days. The first day is going to be group battles, Principal Yaga announced as he held Satoru. The rules are simple. The first team to exercise the second grade cursed spirit released in the designated area wins. Several third grade and lower cursed spirits will be released into the designated area as well. If a winner is not decided by sunset, the team that exorcises the most cursed spirits wins. There is no other rule. Also, you can try to sabotage the others. However, keep in mind that you're all on the same side in the fight against the curses. I hope this program will help you to learn about yourselves and your future companions through competing. Satoru had been struggling to escape through the entire speech and began to struggle with some more effort. He soon began to tap on Yaga's back to submit. Yaga ignored Satoru's surrender and continued his speech. Yudahime openly laughed at his struggle. Everyone knew she had some sort of twisted and complex feeling for that man by now. You are not allowed to kill anyone, but you can injure them. However, the injury should not be beyond recovery. That's it. Any questions? Nobody had any. Good. You're all dismissed. The event begins at noon. All the best. Much to the annoyance of Naruto, he was forced to sit on Satoru's lap. The man was tickling him from time to time. He could feel his parents wanting to come out and kill Satoru. He hated to admit it. But they were cowards around Satoru Gojo. Was he really that strong? The observation room had 5 occupants. There was an extremely old man who was glaring at him for some unknown reason. There was that scar-faced woman who was trying to hide her face under her hairs. Perhaps she was feeling uneasiness about the previous interaction. There was a middle-aged dark-skinned man wearing sunglasses. He had an I am nice guy aura around him. The woman around Satoru's age wearing navy blue clothes with a huge braid in front of her face, covering one of her eyes, was looking at him as if he was some product on display for sale. He shivered under her gaze. Satoru was being annoying as ever, trading friendly words with Yudahime and talking something about traitors. Why are you telling me all this? Yudahime asked Satoru as she took a sip of tea from her cup. I can be a traitor too, you know. Nah, he moved his hand in a dismissing way and stretched a grin across his face. You can't be a traitor. Really? A smile, barely visible, was seen on her face. Do you believe me that much? Nah, you're too weak, nobody would ever involve you in such things. Dead silence. Satoru. You should learn how to respect your seniors. She stood up and threw the tea at him. However, the infinity barrier saved him from it. Sadly, Naruto didn't have that sort of protection as he was showered with hot liquid. He screamed as he was surprised and the pain was obvious. His skin was not that of an adult, causing the pain to multiply a few times. Satoru's grin faded as Yudahime paled while others looked at the scene with curiosity. What have you done? A very familiar voice was heard. She hurt our baby. She must die. Another voice joined. Everyone gaped as they saw 2 figures, one red and another blue cursed spirits emerging from the ceiling and proceeding towards the scar-faced woman in a very intimidating way. Oh crap. You brought this to yourself, Yudahime, Satoru said sagely as he did a mock salute. It was nice knowing you. Rest in peace. By the end of the session, Yudahime had a few broken bones and a huge potato on her head. She was saved by the boy whom she will be indebted to for as long as she is alive. Bakuganji was observing everything for quite some time now. He decided that it was time he asked the question that has been bugging him from the start. Gojo Satoru? Yeah, old man. Satoru looked at him. You need help going to the washroom? Bakuganji ignored that. One thing I still don't understand, how can the boy watch the game if he is blind? Who said he is blind? Satoru said with a smile. He sees with his eyes, he sees well. He can see even better than all of us. More than all, Mei raised an eyebrow. But he is wearing a blindfold. Yaga pointed out. He has the 6 eyes of course. Satoru promptly removed Naruto's blindfold in a blurred motion. That was totally uncalled for. Naruto blinked at the people and smiled awkwardly. He. Silence. Everyone was gazing at the amethyst orbs. Smack. Hey. Satoru said as he rubbed his head. What was that for? You were not supposed to tell that to anybody. Really? Satoru scratched his chin. Well, everybody would have known eventually. Now we can know who is your friend and foe. How so? Naruto asked. There are now 4 other people who know about Toneri having 6 eyes. I am pretty sure that Principal Yaga won't disclose this to anybody, except for maybe telling Master Tenjin. Yudahime rarely meets higher-ups, so she has less than a 10% chance of telling about Naruto's 6 eyes to those geezers. He looked at Mei who smirked. I think Mei isn't seeing any profit in selling this information. Not at the moment. The woman smiled. Besides, I have morals too. As for Principal Geezer, I am 100% sure he will be sharing this piece of information with his half-dead fellows. "How dare you accuse me," the old man yelled. Meanwhile Naruto was watching the fight between Todo Aoi and Yuji Itadori. The older boy is giving some lectures to the younger one. There are a lot of things that Naruto did not know and he is also learning with Yuji. So cursed energy is chakra's equivalent, but at the same time it is completely different, thought Naruto. Chakra is both physical and spiritual, whereas cursed energy is mostly spiritual. However, one can enhance their physical capabilities by using cursed energy. It's like using chakra like Sakura-chan and Bachan. Interesting. In order to mold cursed energy, one must first feel it. It appears that cursed energy is a byproduct of negative emotions. So if I can control my negative emotions, I should be able to use cursed energy theoretically. However, it is not an easy task to do as I am only physically 5 years old. But then again, I have these so-called 6 eyes, I can understand everything that is theoretically explainable. I can also understand anything that is practically visible. So if I can see a practical demonstration of usage of cursed energy, then I should be able to understand how to use my own. My uncle's infinity barrier is too complex for me to understand. In order to see a practical demonstration, I must go out and see a match live with my own eyes. It was at this point that he noticed a hand being waved in front of his face. Boy. Naruto looked at Satoru, who was waving his hands in front of his face. Are you okay? You just spaced out a bit. I'm fine, Dadabayo. He said. He looked thoughtful for a moment before asking, hey old man, can I ask something? Shoot away. I want to learn how to use cursed energy. Huh? Satoru looked confused. I already told you that I am going to teach you, then what is this all about? I want to see the match with my own eyes. Satoru didn't reply for a moment before he clapped. Okie dokie. But that both uncle and nephew teleported away instantly, leaving behind a perplexed audience. One Satoru Gojo is a lot of headache, imagine 2 of them. Gakuganji sighed. I couldn't agree more, Yudahim added. Yaga sighed while Mei laughed. Naruto found himself tightly held by Satoru. Hey, what's the big idea? He looked at his surroundings and froze. Ah, we are floating in the sky. Calm down, Gaki. Satoru said casually. It's nothing too dangerous. We are in the middle of freaking clouds, Dadabayo. How can it not be dangerous? Naruto being paranoid and in panic mode was justified. Naruto flew only once or twice in his life as a shinobi. After Hagoromo gave him 6 paths chakra, he was able to fly. But under the constant pressure of war, he didn't even realize how scary it was to look down and see nothing under your feet. Do you want to give up then? Satoru asked in a monotone. Naruto halted his motions. He looked at the man and said, I never give up. Good, Satoru nodded. I don't want you to die in regrets. What was that? Naruto raised an eyebrow. But before he could get an answer, he felt discomfort over his forehead. Ouch. Man, I hate when my brain can't keep up with the information these eyes provide. It is really irritating. I can relate, Satoru said. Now, let me give you a brief description of Infinity. I thought we were gonna watch the game. We are. Satoru nodded. But at the same time, you will listen to my lecture. Crap. Satoru laughed wholeheartedly. Despite being 300s of meters above the ground, Naruto could see everything in perfect detail. It was irritating, but he was slowly getting used to it. Let's talk about Limitless first. Satoru began. In its neutral form, the base state of the Limitless is referred to as the Infinity, which operates in a manner reminiscent of convergent and divergent series in mathematics. This technique gives a user the ability to stop virtually anything directed towards them by subdividing the space between them and the object an infinite number of times until the object slows down so much that it appears to halt its motion completely. Anything that enters this infinitely divided space will never reach the user, acting almost like an invisible force field around them. The only way to overcome this ability is through domain expansion, domain amplification, or special curse tools that can negate the technique entirely. Hey, old man. Naruto said as hot steams were released from his ears. What is it? Satoru felt irritated at being interrupted. It's not that I don't appreciate it, but shouldn't you teach me the basics of cursed energy first? Didn't Isshiki tell you the basics? He did, Naruto nodded. But it was very brief. I was hoping you could teach me more. You have a logic, Satoru said as his eyes shifted at the fight between Todo and Yuji. But I have a feeling that in the upcoming future, a dark time is coming in which we must be ready. Basics are important, true. But if you know nothing about actual combat, you will die. He gave a dark smile. A very sinister one too. I am sure that you are going to be in a lot of those fights. I am a 5-year-old kid for crying out loud. Retorted Naruto. Who and why would someone want me to fight? I don't know, Satoru sighed. But I'm sure that in the upcoming future you will have to fight for your life whether you like it or not. Satoru proceeded to tell him more about Limitless while he observed the fight between Yuji and Todo. He was learning multiple things at the same time. But for some unknown reason, he felt something sinister. Satoru Gojo has left, what? But I thought, why? But, ugh. Fine. The man said before he chanted. Darker than darkness, emerge from darkness. Purify that which is impure, he looked at the veil that was emerging. If I can't get Satoru, I will get his son at the very least. He laughed like a maniac. Ten-chan. I told you not to call me that, baka. Oh, so cruel. I thought you liked me. Shut it. Just because we had to share the same chopsticks doesn't mean I like you. Besides, I am forbidden to have this sort of feeling, remember? Of course, guardian of the barrier. I am already in a sore mood after everything Sukuna did, don't make it even worse. About that, Ten-chan, what are your opinions about his actions? What do you mean opinions, huh? He killed everyone in that dojo. Just because they were rude doesn't mean he should kill them. That is something I can agree on with you. There's a but there. There is no but. Tell me what it is in your mind. I have nothing in my mind. Huh. Has Sensei told you about the Child of Prophecy? Huh. Who doesn't know about it? It's a hot topic. It's like a fairy tale, isn't it? It was just a stupid old man's stupid dream. I mean, who has shining amethyst eyes? 6 eyes users. Aren't they usually blue? That is not necessary. Whatever. Say, Ten-chan, you have the immortality technique and Sensei mentioned that you will be the one to guard the barrier. Yeah, so? Are you jealous it wasn't you? Nah, I like to be young. You have immortality technique, not evergreen technique. As much as I hate to agree with you, it's true. But why are we talking about this? Do you wish to meet him one day? Who? The Child of Prophecy. I don't care. I wish I could. What's on your mind? Just imagine, Ten-chan, with his powers, we could understand the real power of cursed energy. Imagine what we could accomplish. You are doing that again. Oh, sorry. Anyways, if he is ever born into this world, I wish to be there to see what changes he brings to the Jujutsu world. What if he doesn't want such a thing? What if he wants to live a normal life? It's his destiny. Destiny, huh? Well, keep dreaming. I am leaving. Good night, Kinjaku. Good night, Tenjin. Inuyamaki took the phone from Fushiger Shikigami and dialed Miwa's number. Hello, useless Miwa speaking. Go to sleep. As Inuyamaki heard a thud sound from the other side of the line, he understood that their plan had worked. Go back. He told the Shikigami after patting on its head. He was about to walk away when he heard a twig break from behind him. He quickly unzipped his high collar and looked back. The first-grade cursed spirit's head was seen and it looked at him from behind a tree. He was perplexed but went to take quick action when the head of the curse was broken by a pale and huge-looking head. The special grade curse came into his view. Naruto was sitting on a tree branch watching Todo and Yuji play or fight. Obviously Yuji is stronger, but Todo is more durable and skilled. Therefore none of them could defeat each other. Naruto watched Mido Gai's taijutsu. This standard of combat was boring to him. Both of them could be destroyed by Guy in his prime without opening any gate. It's funny, really. The power of the people of Ninja Earth is far, far greater than the power of the people here. If his father, Minato, was told to wield some Hiraishin kunai and fight against all the warriors in this world, he would be seen standing over everyone's unconscious bodies in the blink of an eye. A shinobi is versatile. A sorcerer? Not always. That's the difference in strength between a sorcerer and shinobi. Naruto trained from a young age while living in Konoha. He would train so much that he would pass out from exhaustion. Still he would not give up. Beat Kiba in a race. He trained. Sasuke must be defeated in hand-to-hand combat. He trained. Bet with Tsunade to learn the Rasengan. He trained. Sage mode. He trained. Mastering Kyuubi's chakra. He trained. He never gave up training. Ever. Even before his very death in the shinobi world, he trained. His determination was still there. These sloppy moves were nothing for him. Satoru told everyone that Naruto had tremendous potential. Everyone knew he was going to be a force to reckon with. But no one, not even his own parents, knew this. He was a shinobi. He was Naruto Uzumaki. Not maybe for too long, a couple of hours perhaps, but he reached the pinnacle of shinobi. For a few hours, he was the greatest shinobi ever to exist. Strength. More than Tsunade's. Speed. Faster than Minato. Tactics. Better than both Tobirama and Kakashi. Scale of attacks. Far superior to Hashirama's. Jutsus. More powerful than Hiruzen's. Still, there was a reason why he was watching this game so closely. This world didn't have chakra. But it did have this so-called cursed energy. If he could master this power, then many, if not all of his techniques could be resurrected. Ah, how he missed Rasengan, Shadow Clones and Warwick no Jutsu. It is only a matter of fact before he learned how to wield this energy. He still had massive reserves, just like a true Uzumaki. His mother, Kushina, would have been proud. He was not wearing his blindfold anymore. He was recording everything from this fight. Every flow of energy, every word from the lectures, every tip. Everything. Something piqued his interest though. Black Flash. Listen, Yuji, my brother, Todo said as he placed his hands on his hips. Black Flash is a distortion in space that occurs when cursed energy is applied within 0.00001 seconds of a physical hit. When a sorcerer is able to achieve this, their cursed energy flashes black, and the destructive power of their strike is equal to a normal hit to the power of 2.5. The difference between those who have used the Black Flash and those who haven't is like the difference between heaven and earth. They are on a whole other level. Cool. Yuji chirped. So I am going to do it. No one can ever do this at will. Todo sternly said. Not even Satoru Gojo. It does not happen randomly and requires immense concentration. Not even with the 6 eyes. Yes. Nanami Kento is the current record holder, he could use 5 Black Flash. Is that so? Boy, Gorilla Nai-chan. Naruto called from the tree branch. Oi. Todo realized that he had just approved the nickname by turning at the child. Don't call me that. Yeah, Naruto waved it off and jumped from the tree branch, which was 7 feet above the ground and landed gracefully, much to the shock of the older boys. Say, can you use Black Flash? I have used it a couple of times, but haven't mastered using it. Todo replied honestly. Oh, that's too bad. Yuji said. I wanted to learn it badly. You don't need a mentor in order to learn how to use it, said Todo. You just learn it under pressure from the situation. That's understandable. Sagely nodded Naruto. Now, Todo said as he assumed his fighting stance once more. We have a fight to continue. Satoru Gojo said that you will not disturb or spar, I hope you will respect his words. Yeah, Gorilla Nai-chan. Naruto said as he went to walk away only to abruptly halt his motion as he felt something suffocating, an ominous presence. He swiftly turned his head towards the older duo, who also had an identical perplexed expression on their face. He said, is it normal? No, Todo replied without turning. He looked at Yuji. It must be a special grade cursed spirit. Brother, looks like we have a perfect opportunity to learn Black Flash. They quickly started to make their way towards the place where the feeling was coming from. Naruto stood there for a moment before following them. Not only Yuji Nai-chan, but also I am going to learn Black Flash today. Nanami was just about to finish off the boy and girl when he abruptly stopped as he felt a cluster of powerful auras approaching. Before he could fully understand what or who was coming, he found his surroundings saturated with the auras. They were fast. There were 3 people. One of which he recognized as Sukuna's vessel, other he recognized as, is that Tanada-kun Gojo. He couldn't hurt the child as Jito forbade them to do so. The last member of the trio was a muscular young man with a scar on his face. He also had a powerful aura around him. Sukuna's vessel was supposed to be very weak and a newbie in the Jujutsu world. But he couldn't underestimate them. Moments later, a panda came and took the injured girl and boy away. Meanwhile Sukuna's vessel stepped into the water and began to walk towards Hanami with a calculative gaze. The muscular boy and the child stood by the trees and took a relaxing pose. Were they underestimating him? Were they that strong? Yuji, my brother, the oldest of the group, called to the pink-haired boy. I will not help you unless you successfully launch a Black Flash, even if you die. Got it? Sukuna's vessel, now named Yuji, announced with determination. Ani-chan, the youngest of the trio, called out. Tell me how you feel when you release the Black Flash. What is Black Flash? Was it strong enough to take him, a special grade cursed spirit, down? No chance. They are probably messing around. They stand no chance. Black Flash. Before he could understand what had happened, a blur came in his view, and the pink-haired boy landed a devastating blow on his torso, and Hanami was sent a few meters away under the force of the strength, while the water in the path was promptly divided in the pathway. It was astonishing the amount of strength and speed the boy possessed. But Hanami was unhurt. He was shocked, true. But he was far from being defeated. Man, I really thought that I could have a Black Flash over there. Yuji said disappointingly as he stared at his fist. Don't give up, Ani-chan. Cheered by the younger boy. Kick that bastard's butt. Yeah, you bet. Yuji launched himself at Hanami again. You can't just launch it in the first attack. Todo said. Just keep punching that curse. Okay. You think I'll let you? Hanami said by establishing a mental link. It just talked in my head, Tanada-kun shouted. Of course I can talk, child. Hanami said. Boy, curse, the pink-haired boy said. Do you happen to know a stitch-faced curse? He is talking about Megito, isn't he? Hanami thought. What if I said I did? Whatever, Yuji said as he took a step forward. You are going down, Divergence Fist. Hanami quickly dodged the punch. Yuji threw an uppercut. Hanami couldn't avoid that. Hami was pushed several feet away. Hanami decides to use his curse technique. Roots upon roots began to emerge from the ground and went to tangle Itadori. Yuji tried his best to dodge the attacks, hence his motions became little more than a blur. Todo and Naruto were observing their brother's movements with a very keen set of eyes. Todo was looking for flaws and noting areas that needed improvements, while Naruto followed the flow of cursed energy not only in Yuji, but also in the cursed spirit. It was truly a fascinating sight to see. The flow of cursed energy in their body was truly quite unique. The way they were being released, it was amazing. While cursed energy was not as potent as chakra, it was still very powerful in its own right. The Hyuga could release chakra from most of their body parts, but cursed energy can be released from any part of one's body. Which means no chakra pathways, but each of your cells could radiate energy. Magnificent, Naruto smiled unknowingly. I wonder how many ways I can exploit this, Dadabayo. Yuji threw a barrage of punches which disintegrated the roots. But he wasn't able to stop the assault as they kept coming and coming. Yuji jumped at Hanami with a fist prepared to connect with the curse's jaw. Hanami summoned a wooden shield to protect himself. Black flash. Black and crimson light was erected from the punch that Yuji had launched. The punch was so powerful that the wooden shield was unable to withstand it, which ultimately caused the punch to connect with Hanami. Hanami was shocked. It was not something he deduced would have happened. The punch was far more powerful than the ones from earlier. It was so powerful that Hanami vomited blood. Oh, yeah. Exclaimed Todo happily. You did it, my brother. Great job, Ani-chan. Naruto added. Thank you, Yuji said while not shifting his gaze from the curse. He threw a punch aimed at Hanami's face. But that didn't work. Hanami immediately came up behind Yuji and landed a punch on his back. The force of the punch was so chilling that Yuji almost passed out. He fell about 6 meters away. That was a lucky hit, Hanami said as he approached the fallen boy. It was my mistake, I underestimated you. It won't happen again. Todo stepped forward and Hanami halted his approach. He helped Yuji stand up. Brother, you have fulfilled the requirement. Now, I shall assist you. I'll help too, Dadabayo. Naruto said from the background. Shut up. Todo roared. You are not my friend, let alone brother. Besides, you haven't even told me what type of girls you like. Irillan Ai-san is very knowledgeable. Naruto quickly thought. I must keep a good relationship with him. In order to stay in his good list, I must answer it. But how? How about? Well, I like pink-haired ones, with green eyes, those that hit on your head whenever you say something stupid, and those that have monster strength enough to crater into earth, and those who can break every single one of your bones before healing them. The ones with another personality too. The other three stared at him for a long time. Was that a fusion of me, Kujisaki, Maki-senpai, Fushiguro and Shoko-sensei? Yuji deadpanned. Naruto shrugged. Ugh, I don't know half of them. Naruto said. But, that's my type. So. Ha ha ha, ha. A mouth on Yuji's left cheek appeared. I like you, child of pro. Who asked for your opinion? Yuji halted him mid-sentence by putting his hand on the cheek. Todo raised his left hand. They looked at him. That, Todo said as he clenched his raised hand's fist. Was very descriptive. I am not sure if that is boring or not. But, he looked at the child and gave a thumbs up. That sure is an interesting type, even if it is unrealistic and full of fantasy. Naruto grinned. This was a good improvement. Now, it's time we finish this curse. Tanada-kun, stand there and watch. Todo and Yuji marched towards the curse at an astonishing speed before punching at it together. The curse flew about 20 meters away before hitting itself with a tree. It stood up and raised its hand, and once again tree roots began to come out from the ground and try to tangle the duo. Todo and Yuji effortlessly dodged all the roots and attacked the curse with great speed. Todo revealed his curse technique, a technique that allows him to swap places with anything or anyone. Using this, he, along with Yuji, cornered the cursed spirit. The cursed spirit was pushed, thrown, trashed, kicked, punched and so on. The duo was truly dynamic. It was scary and reminded Naruto of the Naruto-Sasuke duo. Whenever they were together they were unstoppable. Black flash. Yuji landed another one of those attacks and successfully injured the cursed spirit. Meanwhile, Naruto was observing their flow of cursed energy. The way every cell reacted, the way every muscle contracted and the way the curse released its attacks. Naruto keenly observed Yuji's second black flash and was mesmerized by its beauty. He focused his own cursed energy and tried to draw it out. He raised a fist and tried to engulf it with cursed energy. Needless to say, he succeeded. He had the 6 eyes, that's why. His cursed energy was sky blue colored, not neon colored like most sorcerers. It felt like his physical strength had amplified 5 times. It felt great. Naruto now understands why the Hyuga and Uchiha were so arrogant. He knows why Nagato called himself God. He knows why Hagoromo was sage of the 6 paths. Because seeing is power. I wonder if I can do that by covering my whole body with cursed energy. The curse took the fight to the next level and erupted so many branches of trees at the same time and attacked at the duo that they had no choice but to jump, but it ultimately caused the roots to entangle them. The duo quickly got rid of the roots by tearing them off with their sheer strength alone. The cursed spirit was not done yet as it began to drop more and more roots and tree branches and then pushed them towards the sky. Naruto leapt from tree branch to tree branch in order to see the fight. The duo made their way towards the curse by running on the tree branches. Abruptly, all of the tree branches disappeared, making both teens perplexed and terrified. But before they could hit them, they used one another's feet as base and jumped by gathering momentum. Black flash. Yuji's third attack did some serious damage to the curse as it fell on its knees and immediately began to tremble in fear. "We shall end you here," Todo declared confidently as he landed beside Yuji. Yuji nodded in agreement and proceeded to walk towards the curse. The curse, who was currently desperately looking for a way to escape, expanded its hands together and method 2 words that Naruto will remember. The main expansion. Naruto could feel cursed energy building around the area. He looked at the curse with hungry eyes trying to learn everything and anything that he can learn, even if he has to get injured for it. However, before anything could happen and the curse could launch its technique, he looked up in the sky as he felt a very powerful presence and killing intent. Satoru Gojo was levitating hundreds of meters away. He had lifted the veil. All of a sudden he disappeared from there. But neither of them moved from their spot, as if they were waiting for his action to take place. 5 seconds later the curse began to do something on the ground. As roots began to come out and cover the curse. I am not fool enough like Mahito to fight with Satoru Gojo. This is not over, we will meet again. As 20 seconds passed, Naruto felt something odd. Perhaps Todo felt it too, as he relaxed a bit. You think we will let you escape? Yuji stepped forward only to be stopped by Todo. Yuji, my brother, he told Itadori. If you take one more step, then you will die. What? Before Yuji could ask what was wrong, a very powerful purple energy beam came towards them, specifically aimed towards the curse, destroying every tree and everything in its way. The diameter of the energy beam was about 10 meters. The power was so strong that they had to cover their eyes with their hands, lest they should be blinded. The curse yelled in agony before the purple light completely engulfed it. When the light was gone they saw that the entire line of area that the energy had come from had created a very long semicircle by destroying everything in the way. That's Satoru Gojo for you, Todo smirked. He does everything in a unique way. Yeah, but, Yuji looked at the area and the massive hole. Now we cannot find out if the curse is exercised or not. Whether the curse was exercised or not, Naruto had learned a lot of things from the fight and lectures. He was satisfied. Megumi was not expecting the boy to declare him as his friend. He was surprised, his friends too. He was surprised when he saw the boy with Todo Aoi and Yuji come in aid of him and Maki. He was further surprised when Tanada-kun declined Panda-senpai's offer to come back. Why would he want to stay there? Regardless, Megumi was too weak to argue. When he woke up in the infirmary ward, he was greeted by the bright faces of Yuji, Nobara and Tanada-kun. They shared a pizza before Todo came and chased Yuji away. Tanada-kun. Huh? The boy, who was chewing, looked at him. What is it? Why did you call me your friend there? Ah. Oh, I thought we were. No, we aren't. Oh, you tried to protect me from that old man that day. That's why you are my friend. Hammer Ni-chan, too. Boy. Who are you calling Hammer Ni-chan? Nobara raised her hammer. The boy jumped back and began to get up, but the girl caught him. Sorry. Hammer Ni-chan. Shut it. Megumi's lips curled upwards a bit.